КьюАй, where tonight all I have to say is night, night. Yeah, no, sorry. Too quick. That's the title of the show. Don't get the staff. Right. Tonight is indeed the night. And joining me to hold hands in the dark are a night to remember. It's Holly Walsh. A night on the town, David Mitchell. A night on the tiles, Noel Fielding. And night after night after night, Alan Davies. And then midnight buzzers buzz like this, Holly. David goes. Noel goes. Ooh. Oh. Like... And Alan goes. Have you finished? So, what is the most mysterious thing you do in bed?
You regrow, you regenerate your body parts, don't you?
OK,
At
but...
night. That's what I call it, anyway. What are you doing in there? I'm regenerating!
Do you mean that there are bits that are broken? You mend them, is that what you mean?
Don't you grow a new liver every 7 years or something? There's no bit of you that is actually the age that you are.
No, I think it's every 10 years you're a totally new person.
You're totally new, bones,
yes,
everything.
Everything.
No, you don't grow gums back. Gums recede and they don't come back. You can't go, oh, I think I'm going to grow my gums long this year.
It's probably quite good that the gums don't keep growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
Imagine having to get them trimmed. That's going to be an extremely bloody...
Yeah.
What do you do for a living? I'm a gum dresser.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to get head to toe in plastic. It's like CSI. And someone comes in for a long overdue gum trimming.
You have to show them the back of their gums.
Yeah. So, the most mysterious thing that we do in bed, all of us...
Dreaming.
It's also related to the most mysterious
I
thing.
sleep talk, that's...
Do
what
you?
yeah.
What do you say? Anything of interest?
I think the most memorable thing I said was I sat up in bed and I said, brilliant.com/awesome. And then I went straight back to sleep again.
Have you put brilliant.com/awesome into the internet and see what comes up? Maybe it's a picture of you.
Yes. It's the hidden camera in Holly's bedroom.
So, the most mysterious thing that we do, it involves dreaming, it involves sorting the body out. What is the all-encompassing thing that we do, and we don't really know why we do it?
Breathing.
It's sleeping. We have no idea. It is the most mysterious thing that we do in bed because we just don't know why we do it. Why would you end the day unconscious and basically paralysed and leave yourself available to attack by predators unless there is some fantastic evolutionary benefit that outweighs the risk? And the fact is, we just don't know. People have thought it was to do with energy conservation.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous because you actually don't save much energy.
Really?
No, not when you sleep, no.
How many days can you go without sleep for before you die?
If you stay awake for 17 hours, it's the same as having 2 glasses of wine in terms of how it would affect your performance.
Red wine or white wine? If it was white wine, then I'll just start crying.
Oh, would you? Oh, you're bad drunk.
Yeah, I'd never once drunk more than 2 glasses of white wine and not use the phrase, why don't you just dump me then?
Even to people who you're not in a relationship.
No, you save about 110 calories each night, so a 2-finger Kit Kat is 107. It's not a lot, is it?
That's the only energy saving.
That's the only energy saving.
So when you wake up in the morning, you can have a 2-fingered Kit Kat?
Help yourself.
Gratis.
Yeah, it totally wipes it all out, frankly.
It's a classy breakfast.
Morning, everyone.
So the theory that I like best, there have been some scientists at the University of Rochester Medical Center in New York, and they think it's when our brains are cleaned. And it may be that's what's happening to us, is that we are clearing the brain out. There's a Professor Maiken Nithergork. I have instituted random Scandinavian facts, which I call the Randy Scandies. She's a neuroscientist, she's a woman, and she's Danish. So this is a fantastic person to quote. And she says, you can think of it like having a house party. You can either entertain the guests or clean up the house, but you can't really do both at the same time. That's the theory. But how much you sleep depends on your own circadian rhythm. So I didn't sleep very much. Anybody here a good sleeper?
I've got a 5-month-old baby, so I only sleep in hour-and-a-half chunks at the moment.
So if you just come for a break just tonight...
This is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Genuinely, I went to the dentist the other day and I had to have a filling and I lay back and I was like, I think this is the closest to having a relaxing time that I've had in 5 months. It was so nice.
Did he trim your gums?
Yeah.
Are you a good sleeper, Noel? Do you sleep well?
Yeah, I can sleep a lot, yeah.
Apparently what you should do to find out how much you need to sleep is you should spend a week not having an alarm clock at all, and you should let your body just wake up when it needs to and log how many hours, and if you need 6 hours and you need to get up at 7 a.m, then you know what time you've got to go to bed.
But Sandy, you need a wee at 5.
Yes.
No matter what.
Yeah, it's very annoying. And it's not like you particularly have that much wee to do.
You get there and you think, why have you woken me up for that? I would rather have just left that in the bed. We could have just done it in the morning.
Also, sometimes, in the middle of the night wee, you can start thinking about something stressful or get frightened by noises in the house. Yeah. Best just to stay asleep till it gets light.
I think really the solution is some sort of an apparatus where you could sleep on the loo.
Yeah.
My father was in hospital and he had a catheter fitted for a couple of weeks, and he said he'd never slept so well for about 50 years. It's the best thing that had ever happened to him.
It's like when you go and stay in a hotel and they say never use the kettle because people pee in it, apparently.
No.
Yeah.
The kettle. What? No. You see, I don't want to know those things.
I mean, how far away is the bathroom?
But I always think that must be a man who pees in that kettle.
I can say, on behalf of men all over the country, we do not piss in kettles. Take a lid off, you've got to unplug it.
Those lids are spiteful.
Too much effort.
I'm not making it up, it's a well-known fact.
So when you get to a
I wouldn't come on QI and talk bullshit, I'm straight up.
So when you go to a hotel room and there's water already in the kettle, that's a bit suspect. I always get rid of that.
To be honest, boiled piss is probably... I mean, it might change the flavour of the tea, but it's not a bacterial threat. It's
Green tea.
Another thing, never eat the chocolate on the pillow.
What's happened to... where's that been? Anyway, moving on. Now, describe the night of the horrified sheep. So it was an actual thing that happened November the 3rd, 1888, and something happened that spooked all sheep over a 200-square-mile area in Oxfordshire. Tens of thousands of sheep panicked, they jumped fences, they ran for their lives.
Earthquake.
Well, that was one of the theories at the time, that there might have been a small earthquake or something dropped from the sky, but probably what happened is just one sheep panicked. The hospital was just very dark, and the sheep were going, where's my friends? Where's my friends?
Have you just gone... And then all the other sheep must be going... He'll think he's on his own.
Yes.
And then when he panicked, they all went, oh, my God! Where have we gone?
Do you think if a sheep can't get to sleep, do you think he counts his friends?
Oh. I wonder what the reason was that we decided to count them in the first place at night.
Well, it must be really boring to count sheep.
Yeah, that sends you off, yes.
Yeah.
I think you've nailed it.
Thanks.
The thing is about counting sheep, they look quite similar, so you're never sure if it's the same one coming past.
Could just be one sheep on a loop.
And they take turns.
Yeah.
I tell you what I'd love to count, kittens.
Ah.
Imagine if 70,000 kittens ran past you. That would just be the most adorable thing that ever happened to anyone.
See, I really struggle with this. I'm more of a dog person.
That's probably why the kittens are all running away from a dog.
Yes.
I always think that about cats. You know when people say, oh, like an old woman died in her flat and she was eaten by her cats? I mean, could be...
What world do you live in, people? Peeing in kettles and old women.
3 days.
Yeah. You get...
3 days and your cat will eat your face.
Yeah.
Because it will have loosened up enough for it to get purchased.
Yeah.
What sort of show is this?
They never say that, do they, about, you know, aged meat on a menu, you know, with a 20-day aged beef. They never use the phrase, it will have loosened up enough to get purchased.
That's the thing that the cats don't like. They don't like orange peel. Did you know this? They don't like orange peel.
And spiders don't like conkers.
Yes. What?
Yeah.
What, the game? They don't like the
Yeah,
game.
because they get their legs caught between them. I've got 7 now.
If you don't like spiders, put loads of conkers in your house and there will be fewer spiders, but still some spiders. So the best plan is to get over the fear of spiders, really.
But then there'll be, like, loads of 8-year-olds.
Hiding in corners.
Yeah, what you lose in spiders, you gain in school children with conkers.
8-year-olds don't like bullies, so just keep some bullies in the house.
It's getting quite busy in the house.
I don't like bullies. How are we going to get rid of them?
Parental love.
So we need more parents.
And a school counsellor.
Yeah.
24
And
hours.
some tenderised face meat.
Look at this. Here is a night to remember. This is the 9th of November, 1874. The New York Herald front page article reported the wild animals broken loose from Central Park. Terrible scenes of mutilation. The article described 49 deaths and 200 injuries. There's some excellent details in it. It included a sighting of a lion in a church and my favourite, a rhinoceros in a sewer.
How do they get it out of the sewer?
Never mind that. How did it get in there? It was fantastic.
Manhole cover.
Must have fallen in.
But it wasn't until the very last paragraph that the article concluded. Of course, the entire story given above is a pure fabrication. Not one word of it is true, not a single act or incident described has taken place. It's a huge hoax, a wild romance. And then it went on to ask, that was the reason for the headline, what would we do in New York if this happened? It's one of the most notorious and indeed accidental media hoaxes. But in fact, it just caused complete panic in the streets.
Is that a huge risk? In zoos?
Well, yes. So you would think that maybe it's something that we don't need to worry about. You've got enough cages. But in February 2016, the Ueno Zoo in Tokyo did their annual test to see what they would do if an animal escapes. And what they did was they got the 27-year-old gorilla keeper called Yumi Tamura to dress up as a zebra. There she is. And there they all are dealing with it. And so, yes... verified death. Now, here's my favourite moment, checking to see if animal is dead. Wow. The famous poke them with a stick. So you feel safe, don't you, if you're in Tokyo and an animal escapes?
I went to London Zoo recently, and in the tiger enclosure, there's a platform there, and you can get up sort of at eye level and look at this thing. And we're standing there with the kids, and a woman came in with her little boy, and she goes, "Look at it, lazy, like Daddy." And just wheeled him away. My wife goes, drip, drip, drip.
I remember taking my son to London Zoo, and he must have been about 3 years old, and I thought it was so exciting for him, and I was showing him the elephants, and I was showing him the rhinos, and then they were doing some renovations, and the only time he took his dummy out of his mouth, sat up in his buggy and went, "Look, Mum, a digger!" No one knows why tens of thousands of sheep went crazy in Oxfordshire on the night of November the 3rd, 1888. They may have been surprised by the fact that it got dark, or by the news that earlier in the day, Preston North End beat Notts County 7-0. I'm really trying with the football thing, just so... Doing my best. We'll never know. OK, how would a night witch travel?
Broomstick.
No.
I just get an Uber, generally.
Daddy doesn't look unlike you.
I think I might have met that witch in Camden.
So we are heading backwards in time to the Second World War.
Is the night witch something military? Is it a
military
thing?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
A plane or something?
Is it a
Yes.
Soviet?
Yes, it is a Soviet thing. It is the 588th Night Bomber Regiment from the Soviet Union, and it was an all-female unit, from the mechanics to the pilots, and they were known as the Night Witches. And what's incredible about them, lots of the men didn't want them to fight, so they were all given men's uniforms, they were all made to cut their hair very short, and they were given rubbish aeroplanes. So those aeroplanes that you can see on the side there, they're called Polikarpov PO2 planes, and they're basically made of plywood and canvas. And they were just for training or for crop dusting, that kind of thing. So they had weight restrictions, and it meant they had to fly close to the ground. They meant they couldn't take parachutes. And there was a sort of a whooshing noise because they flew so low. And the Germans said it sounded like a broomstick overhead. And so they called them the Nachthexen, the Night Witches.
Oh.
Amazing, actually. Of course, we had them in the UK as well. Not in quite the same way. They weren't in combat. I had the great privilege of meeting Joy Lofthouse. She was 92 when I met her, and there she is. She was part of the Air Transport Auxiliary. We had 168 female pilots in World War II, and Joy, amongst other aeroplanes, used to deliver Spitfires.
She looks good for 92.
She does. She does.
Witches don't age. I'm 1,000. But Night Witches is a great name, isn't it?
It is a great name.
Night Witches, it's terrifying.
It made me think about the Night Watch. You know that wonderful painting by Rembrandt? They did some restoration work on it, and it was just dark varnish, and they had to rename it the Day Watch, because it's actually, it turns out, it's much brighter than
That
they
in
thought
the
it was.
museum in Amsterdam.
Yeah, it's in the Rijksmuseum.
And there's a bit of it that was missing or something, wasn't it? I think they rehung it and they couldn't fit it in, so they had to cut a bit off. They put it in a room and it wouldn't fit, so they cut them in now. You know, it's worth millions, but they can't. That's not going to fit. We'll just have to take the end off. That bloke on the end doesn't look important.
Where is it? Did they throw it away? Did they keep it?
I think they kept it, put it
Make
back
a
on, maybe.
one very long, thin painting for somewhere else. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, if you're coming up the stairs, it would look nice. Or in the bathroom, it would look very nice. So the whole thing about keeping an eye at night, we used to have night watchmen in the UK. In fact, walking around town at night walking was illegal from 1285 to 1827, and they used to employ night watchmen to go around the streets, and you weren't allowed to go around.
Until 1827?
Until 1827, yeah.
500 years you weren't allowed to go out at night?
Yeah, well, some places we still have night watchmen. So the oldest town in Denmark, which is called Ribe, we still have night watchmen, and you can hear them at night. They have a song that they sing, and every hour has a different verse, so you can tell what time of night it is. And also keeps you awake, so it's a bit irritating.
I went to boarding school and we had night watchmen at the school.
Did you?
Yes. It was a mixed boarding school to make sure that no one was going to other people's dormitories.
Ah, I was in a single-sex school. We didn't have a night watchman, and they should have. The Night Witches were the Germans' worst nightmare. So, my question is, what's your worst nightmare?
I don't have nightmares. I just occasionally have dreams that are quite stressful.
Oh, like what?
Increasingly, they involve having to do my A-levels again.
Oh.
For some reason, I've been busted back to the sixth form, and I have to do my A-levels again. I keep saying, this is ridiculous. I've been to university. Why am I having to do my A-levels again? But I do have to do them again. And I wake up all stressed by it.
And then have to go to the toilet.
Yeah. It's quite nice, because I reflect as I go to the toilet that I don't have to do my A-levels again. So that's good news.
Are you a nightmare person, Alan?
No, but I wish I had a dream recorder.
They're boring, though, when people tell you their dreams. They're so
No, not
boring.
other people's dreams. I don't want other people's dreams. My own dreams are amazing.
People always go, oh, my hands were made of coleslaw, and then you were in it, and you had, like, really big, and you're like, this is so boring.
Have you ever been, when you hear someone describe their dream and they mention someone's in it, and then you sit there rather hoping that you're going to crop up in it? And then you don't always, and you sort of go, oh, I've not invaded this person's consciousness enough.
Sometimes I have dreams where I need to fight someone and I have no strength, and I'm supposed to get somewhere and I can never get there, and I'm impressed by all the various obstacles I can put in my own way that I invent in the night.
But those aren't the most common sort of ones. The thing about being chased, not being able to get to the toilet in time. Being exposed publicly naked is a very big thing, and how you respond to that. So if it doesn't bother you, that suggests you are secure in real life. If you're embarrassed, it suggests you are uncomfortable about something. If you don't notice that you're naked, I think you have a lack of self-awareness, is, I think, what it would probably be. Do you sleep on your left or your right side? Because that may have some impact on whether you dream or not.
Do most people have one side?
Oh.
I like
Are you a tosser and turner?
yeah, I think so.
Oh, my God, this is a dream, and you're going to wake up and go to the toilet in a minute. We're all in your dream.
So what did you say, left or right?
Right.
OK, so that fits with the study that they did in 2004. You are more likely to have disturbing dreams if you sleep on your left-hand side than if you sleep on your right-hand side.
So I'm good. So
Yeah.
you toss and turn.
It could be either way. I didn't realise. Now I'm making a choice.
Yes.
Am I just going for rest or adventure?
What side does your wife sleep on?
I'm not aware of her having a preference for one side
So
or the other.
you have one side of the bed, right?
Yeah.
Surely... See,
Yeah, I'm not an idiot.
So my husband makes me sleep facing away from him because I breathe too loudly.
That's quite weird, isn't it?
Well, like those two in the picture.
Oh, yeah.
When I got married, another thing I found out, that it wasn't usual to put your underwear and your socks on before you put any of your clothes on.
Well, you're supposed to put it
Nobody
on
else.
afterwards.
No. I thought
Did you marry a superhero?
I put my underwear on,
Yeah.
and then I put my socks on,
Right.
and then I put my outerwear on.
OK, and what's wrong with that?
Well, apparently it's weird to put your socks on before you put your trousers and your top on.
I think your husband is telling you that things he does are things that everyone does.
Yeah.
It is perfectly reasonable to put your socks on before your
fine.
trousers.
It's
or
also perfectly reasonable to breathe while you're asleep. The problem in your house is he keeps pissing in the kettle.
There's a story from 1821 in Paris of a nocturnal apparition. So this guy awoke to see a creature in his room, and he thought it was the devil, so he called for his servant, and then he immediately died of fright. And the servant chased away the apparition, and it rather fits in with the whole zoo thing, because it turned out it was a large ape escaped from a nearby menagerie and climbed down the chimney. I know! So sometimes it's not a bad dream, it is actually a thing that has escaped. Anyway, what is the worst thing you can do on a bed of nails?
Fall from a great height.
I would think.
I'd say an orgy. I'd say to get nailed on some nails would be a terrible thing.
Well, here's the thing. So I think you could have an orgy if you were fantastically careful about how you got on and off.
Are we talking about the nails or the people?
It's about the even distribution of weight across the nails.
Tis,
So
I did do this. I
Did
went
you?
on a bed of nails with a contortionist. What a night that was.
I filmed it.
And he showed me how to lie down. It's all right if you're lying down, but he said, be very careful, because your instinct when you get up is to put your weight on your hands.
Yeah.
And then that really hurts a lot.
When I was at school one afternoon, for some reason, some circus skills people came round and tried to teach us all circus skills.
I love the heavy note of disapproval in your voice. Absolute waste of bloody time!
I was 7. You can learn circus skills later. What I needed was maths. And they came round and said, you know, tried to teach us how to juggle. We couldn't juggle. Tried to put clown makeup on. Some of us had an allergic reaction, you know. But one of the things was the bed of nails, and they taught us how to lie on a bed of nails. And the way you lie on a bed of nails is you just lie on it and it's fine.
But it's about getting on and off. You're absolutely right. So let's have a look and see, test this out. If you've got a very small bed of nails underneath the desk there, if you bring it out.
I'm not going on the bottom.
Now, all if you would take a seat.
Take a balloon and place the balloon on the bed of nails. Now, apply the pressure evenly.
Actually, clearly, is this a condom?
See, that's your big problem with having an orgy on a bed of nails.
If you press down on the wood evenly, it can withstand it for quite a long time.
Can I put some real
Go
weight
on,
on it?
burst it, burst it.
Go on,
There we go.
You've done, look, a lot.
I'll try again.
But it's a fantastic amount of pressure.
Great, I've got condom up my nose.
Again.
OK. put your beds of nails away. Let's have a quick look. We've got some video here of a woman. Now, look how she gets on. OK, now watch. This is actually slightly terrifying. So she lies on the bed of nails, and then an anvil, left over from the Roadrunner cartoons. I know.
Anvil in the boobs is worse than some nails in the back.
Yeah.
And rather pleasingly, a couple of spots which have been nicely popped there.
Maybe that's going to be the new pampering. You know, it turns out that's
nails.
really good for the skin. You just get on the nails, anvil, couple of guys with some hammers.
Yeah. Anyway, beds of nails aren't too painful to sleep on so long as you climb on carefully. How can you tell if a fish is asleep?
That is not asleep, that is just breakfast.
Still got his eyes open.
Well, that is the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to that.
Yes.
It bobs on the top of the surface.
And then it's dead.
And then your parents put you to bed early, and then in the morning it's fine, but it's just a different shape and colour.
I've heard that with goldfish, when they bob on the surface, it's often they're not dead.
Yeah, they sometimes get air caught inside them and they can recover from that.
And so many viable goldfish have been, you know, flushed down the loo as a result.
And they're in the sewers now with a rhino.
Yeah.
But does the fish stop eating?
No, so it's sort of the reverse of them swimming on the top. If you had a tank of fish, you see them hovering near the bottom. They go into a sort of trance-like state, and if you then fed them, it would take them noticeably longer to respond. And then there are dolphins and whales. They sleep by something called logging. They shut down half their brain along with the opposite eye, and the alert side is watching for predators and obstacles and so on. And then after about 2 hours, the sides reverse.
So their brains get cleaned like 50-50?
Bit by bit, yes.
And it's weird we haven't evolved to do that, because you think we'd have survived better if we didn't totally close down.
Well, the even weirder thing is that some animals hibernate, but they have to wake up in order to go to sleep. And if they don't wake up, they'd actually end up sleep-deprived. So they wake up to go to sleep.
So it's a different sort of sleep.
It's a totally different thing. And then there are ones that just go into torpor to avoid the heat. That's a different thing. It's not the same as hibernation. It's things like the water-holding frog, the western swamp tortoise, which is actually a turtle, and the African lungfish. So they go into a torpor to avoid the heat. Estivation, it's just a short-term drop in temperature. Now, where's the best place to sleep on the job?
I used to sleep in the boot of my car. When
Did you?
In the university holidays, I worked for a textbook company, and I could do what they needed me to do in about an hour. And then I'd just go out and I'd just lie down in the back of my car. And I started taking a duvet in. A boot duvet. I called it a bouvet. I did get asked to leave after my boss saw me climbing out the back of my car.
During working hours?
Yeah,
yes, I can see that would have been a very bad thing.
I had a job in a bakery and I lasted 4 hours.
What did you do wrong?
Well, the boss popped out, and when he came out, I was lying on the floor eating eclairs without using my hands. I was just going, I'll go. And then he didn't pay me, and my mum marched down there and went, he did do 4 hours.
He did do 4 hours, and then you can deduct the cost of the eclairs.
So that's not the answer. What is the best place to sleep on the job?
Oh, is it British Leyland in the 1970s?
Oh, was that a popular thing?
I believe that in the Cowley Works in Oxford, they had a dormitory that was discovered by the management, where they found, like, beds and, you know, duvets, very much like the back of your car, but on an industrial scale.
But we're talking further away. We're talking...
Space.
Space. We are indeed talking space. Neuroscientists at Oxford University have been studying hibernation. They've been studying hibernation of the Madagascan fat-tailed dwarf lemur.
That's a name that won't leave the lemur alone.
No, it's just...
Look at your fat tail, you dwarf.
And they're trying to unlock the secret of suspended animation, and NASA have spent a huge amount of money because astronauts sleeping their way to the stars would use less water, less food, oxygen, avoid boredom.
Their hair would grow, though,
yes,
wouldn't it?
Their hair would grow. And here's the weird thing. The genes for hibernation already exist in the human body, and ironically, they're dormant.
Of course.
It's something that we have sort of forgotten how to do, the secret of suspended animation. So it would protect, for example, the health of astronauts. They currently have to exercise 6 hours a day, otherwise their muscles and their bones, everything atrophies. And some animals can hibernate for 6 months without suffering osteoporosis or any muscle wastage whatsoever. Apparently, lots of astronauts sleep on the launch pad because there's nothing to do. Marsha Ivins, and that is her there, completed 5 missions for NASA, and she said astronauts just take a nap. You're strapped in like a sack of potatoes while the system goes through thousands of pre-launch checks, and occasionally you have to wake up and say Roger or loud and clear, but basically you just sleep. Anyway, sleeping in space could help us reach towards the stars. What's the most dangerous thing, beginning with N, that you could be stuck in a lift with?
Nigel Farage.
No. Not correct.
Nitrogen.
Yes, it is liquid nitrogen.
Oh, liquid Liquid nitrogen explains it, because I'm pretty sure I've been in a lift with some nitrogen and lived to tell a tale.
Yeah, no, liquid nitrogen.
I like the idea, though, if you were in a lift with liquid nitrogen, when it opened, it'd be like stars in their eyes.
No,
you could come out as whoever you liked.
Yes, I suppose so, except you wouldn't come out, is the thing. It can push the oxygen out of a lift and kill you. So if it is carried in a lift, it has to travel on its own. Basically, what has to happen is somebody has to put it in and then carefully press the button and then shut the doors, and then it goes up to the next floor, down, whatever, and somebody has to wait for it.
Why is so much liquid nitrogen needed on so many high floors?
You can make ice cream out of it.
Yeah,
I'd say make it on the ground floor.
Yeah. Well, the cafe at Terminal 2 that Heston Blumenthal has at Heathrow, it has to go in a special security entrance and be brought into the lift by
Oh,
itself.
it's caused so much trouble just for his poxy ice cream.
I mean, it does actually make better ice cream because it's smaller ice crystals, so it's smoother. But do you know when it was invented, the idea of making ice cream with liquid nitrogen?
1420s or something, wasn't it?
Yes, I love the idea. 1420s. What should we do now? 1890. There was a cookbook called Fancy Ices written by Mrs. Marshall, and she used liquid nitrogen. Now, what does the EU have against nightingales?
The noise they make?
Yes, it is the noise they make. Why might it be?
It's too loud.
It's too loud. It breaks
They're breaking regulations.
Yes, they are. They're breaking EU health and safety rules. There we are. You can have a listen. They're too loud. It's quite piercing, isn't it? That's a male nightingale marking his territory there, and he can sing at 95 decibels, which is the same as a chainsaw. And our health and safety rules for the EU say you shouldn't be exposed to anything over 87. But the weird thing is they've done some research in Berlin, and they have found that birds are now raising their volume by 14 decibels to drown out the city sounds. They're having to...
Oh, really?
I've heard that in the cities, all the birds are louder.
Yeah.
Noisy city birds.
Yeah.
And they go out to the country. Hello, everyone! Got any good worms or spiders? I've eaten nothing but old burgers all week.
I must say, I've never heard a Nightingale song before, and I'm afraid to say I expected more. I thought a Nightingale song was like incredibly beautiful, and that was kind of a
Irritating.
bit pleasant, but also a bit irritating.
Isn't there a Vera Lynn song about it?
In Berkeley Square, absolutely right. And indeed, the BBC's very first outside broadcaster in 1924, there was a cellist called Beatrice Harrison, and it was a duet with Beatrice Harrison and a nightingale. And she had noticed that nearby nightingales were joining in whenever she was practising, and so she approached John Reith, and he was rather dubious about the idea. But in fact, it was broadcast, and 1 million people listened to her playing along with the nightingale. Now, night draws on. Would anyone like a nightcap?
Yes. At this point, I would like to ask whether the word no is also attached to a buzzer, and therefore precisely how we could fucking win.
No, No, you don't want a nightcap is the answer. You don't want
Is it a deadly mushroom or something?
Well, it's from around the turn of the 19th century. Condemned prisoners in
The judge's
Tyburn.
black hat? Is that enough?
No, it's your own nightcap. Say you were a condemned prisoner in Tyburn and Newgate. You bring your nightcap to the execution, and after having your prayers, the hangman would pull it down over your face in place of a hood. So your nightcap would become...
Not this one, because it's quite
It's
tight.
a bit tight, isn't it?
That's a tremendous incentive to forget your nightcap,
Yes.
isn't it? I'm so
Yes.
sorry. I don't think this can go ahead.
Feel an idiot.
Yeah.
So the nightcap as a drink is a notion of capping off the evening. That's a different use of it. That kind of nightcap you might very well want, but the idea that you had a nightcap as a condemned person, that you don't want. Although in America, it just means the second game of a doubleheader in baseball. It's known as the nightcap. Now, we step into the dark and stormy night of general ignorance. Fingers on buzzers. Where is this cheese from? I'll give you a clue. It begins with S. Alan.
Shropshire.
I don't know what made you think of it.
Sometimes, you know, sometimes you say the obvious one, and then you go, yes. But never to me.
It doesn't come from Shropshire. Anything else? It begins with an S, does not come from Shropshire.
Spain, Sussex, Surrey, Scotland.
Scotland, it comes from Scotland. It absolutely does. It was originally called Inverness-shire Blue or Blue Stewart, and I don't know why they thought if they renamed it Shropshire, people would be more likely to buy it. So it was a PR job.
So is it quite a recent invention?
It's a fairly recent cheese, yeah. Rather like Stinking Bishop.
Oh, yeah, that's like a made-up oldie-worldy thing, isn't
It's
it?
1973 it was
Like
invented.
hobnobs. They're quite recent.
Are they?
Yeah, the hobnobs. Oh, that's an old biscuit. I'll have a hobnob. It's about something like 1981. I resent the hobnob's quick entry into sort of... It's a quick biscuit to refer to. In a joke, you'd go, oh, a hobnob or whatever. No, hobnob, you're new. Leave the biscuit references to the rich tea and the digestive. They've done the time. It's like a bloody ploughman's lunch. Add executives' inventions.
And tonight's show was sponsored by Hobnobs. To whom we can only apologise. Stinking Bishop is actually named after the perry, so the pear drink that it's steeped in.
Right.
And the pear itself was bred by a man called Mr. Bishop, and he was so bad-tempered he was known as Stinking Bishop. So bad-tempered that once his kettle failed to boil as fast as he wanted it to, so he shot it.
And then he pissed it.
But does anybody know the price of the most expensive cheese in the world? It's called Poule.
1,000 euros.
You're not far off. It is £700 a pound.
What's so special about it?
It's made from donkey milk, so I don't know if you've ever tried to milk a donkey, but... it
Kicked
takes...
in the face a lot.
You have to dress as an ice hockey goalkeeper.
25 litres of donkey milk to make 1 kilo of cheese of the Poule, so...
Is it very delicious?
I've never had it. It's rather crumbly, apparently, and meant to be a delicacy. And it would be at that price. You wouldn't want to have a lot. You wouldn't want to think, oh, I'm tired, just open the fridge. Cracker.
Melt
fantastic.
it on toast.
Yes.
I bought a rather nice lump of some sort of fancy cheddar, and it was in a waxy dome, you know.
Baby Bell.
Not a Baby Bell. Baby Bell. That'd be no.
Could have been a very old Baby Bell. Like a pre-war Baby Bell.
Really big. Anyway, it cost quite a lot. And I thought I'm going to enjoy that. And then when I came home, my wife had grated it on the kids' jacket potatoes. She couldn't understand my indignation. You see, you stand ridiculous. We're in the kitchen going, that's a very expensive cheese!
She said, it's a Baby Bell.
Yeah.
Now, it's a beautiful morning. Look, there's a rainbow. What colours can you see?
Red and yellow.
Being very cautious.
Purple and blue, is it?
Something purple and blue.
Red.
Orange and purple.
Not if it's early or late in the day. You will only see red, orange and yellow in rainbows, and that is because when the sun is low in the sky, the light has to pass through much more of the Earth's atmosphere, and only the red wavelengths will make it. Has anybody ever seen an upside-down rainbow?
I don't think so.
Have we all seen one?
Well, it's just a thing. And you can see them in the sky. They're called circumzenthal or Bravais arcs. So a rainbow is formed when light refracts through raindrops, we all know that. But the upside-down ones are made by light refracting through ice crystals in clouds. Isn't it beautiful?
Cool.
It is seriously cool. Now, when is Sun Day and how long does it last?
Oh, I'm not getting into that one. Someone else can do that.
Anybody to buzz? Yes, David.
Between Saturday and Monday, 24 hours.
Oh, dear. No, is the answer. So it's not Sunday, it is Sunday.
Is it the summer solstice?
It is one day in the year. Where might they be so thrilled to see the sun?
Oh, is it summer in Scotland?
Slightly further north.
Oh, is it when the sun appears in the end of the Arctic winter or something like that?
Yeah, it is. It's in a place called Umanak in northwestern Greenland. It takes place on February the 4th, and it's when the sun first appears after the winter, and it lasts for 6 minutes, but it is so exciting.
Farming's going well there, isn't it? Look at their garden. Come on, Titchmarsh.
Like,
Show us your stuff.
Looks like where the Thunderbirds live.
Why do we live here? I don't know.
And they celebrate that day. The school children take the day off and they have hot chocolate and donuts and so on, and they organise sites so that everybody can see the sun.
I bet you they still get their tops off when it comes out, like here.
Do you think?
I think just loads of middle-aged men go out just in their boxer shorts, just to get a bit of a tan.
Where does that happen?
Every park in the UK.
Speaking on behalf of middle-aged men, there's no way we would strip down to our boxers in any park.
You two are really making a lot of statements on behalf of all men this evening.
Yeah, as are you, kettle pisser.
Coming from someone who sleeps in the boot of her own car.
Did anybody ever go to that fantastic exhibition at the Turbine Hall in the Tate called The Weather Project, where they just had a large sun? Did you see it?
Yeah. Oh, it was amazing.
I went to an exhibition at the Tate and it was on pop art, and there was a room that was set aside from everyone else because it was very explicit by this artist called Jeff Koons, who does basically high art but pornography. And this middle-class woman and her 2 kids came up, and the guy on the door stopped them, so this is for over 18s only, you can't come in. And the woman said, I'll go in and have a look and I'll come back out and I'll tell you what I saw. So she went into the room and she came back out a split second later, completely ashen-faced. And I heard her lean down to these 2 kids and she said, what happens between a man and a woman is a beautiful thing. What I saw in that room is of no help to anyone.
That's what you said after the circus skills book.
Trying to get my head around long division. I don't need this bullshit.
Don't try and tempt me with hobnobs.
Take your unicycle and go!
Anyway, let's have a look at the scores. And the winner with a full 3 points. It's Holly! Second place with -8, it's Noel. In third place with -10, Alan. David, it's a magnificent loss, can I say? -37 in last place. It's David. To Holly, David, Noel and Alan, that's all from this quite interesting night, apart from this Neolithic newspaper nugget from the Western Daily Press. A student who woke up after a drunken night out with the words "Barry is a twat" tattooed on his arm says he has no idea who Barry is. Night.
Something smells good. It's comedy 2 doors down, spreading the word. Christine serving a traditional Sunday lunch tomorrow at 10. Back to life in the 1980s here next on BBC 2 as musician Gazzy B reflects on the decade of going from dull to soul.